Hey guys, this is Tom Box, and today I'm going to be delivering to you all my July or August 2024 ban list prediction, or whatever you guys want to call it. But before you guys rip into this video and the list here, why things are bad, a couple of questions that we have to answer. Number one, is the ban list going to come out before any WCQ? Number two, why are hand traps overly dominant? And number three, of course, they just dropped the Moon Goddess thing in the TCG EU promo for the Infinite Forbidden, so I guess that's no longer a surprise to most of you people, and most people's practicing have already shifted towards comboing with that card. Now that being said, first question, let's answer that. Will the bans come up before any WCQ? I honestly don't think so. I mean, if it was to come out before any WCQ and have it apply at the event, which would make sense because they're dropping a new set anyway, and once they drop the new set, throwing in another thing to kind of screw with the tournament or change up the tournament isn't all too surprising anymore. If anyone's going to accept it, that would probably be the best time. But why I think it's not going to happen is they're going to let us play the full power format, like the full power format with Fiendsmith, with all those cards, and see who can come out on top. It's going to be super chaotic, and they're just going to allow us to continue to play into question number two, which is why hand traps are so overly dominant. It's something that they kind of talked about before. Like, they don't really like hand traps being like, oh, you need 15 hand traps. Remember, we shifted from way back in the day, 6, maybe even 3, to 6, 9, to 12. Right now, we're close to 14, 15 hand traps, which is crazy. Which also doesn't make it very fun to watch, because it's just like, oh, he opens 0 hand traps, the other guy full combo, you basically have to scoop. And entering a game like that where your games are even more so determined just by your very first hand kind of sucks, and board breaking, it becomes a lot more difficult once Fiendsmith comes out. So it makes hand traps even more powerful. So how are they going to address that? So that's something else to kind of look into. Okay, so let's get into the list. Starting off with ban cards, we have 3 ban cards, 7 cards to 1. 4 cards to 2 and 1 card to 3. This is a prediction. It's mainly to adjust some of the existing issues with the format. Let's start off with the stuff 1 to 0. Albion the Sanctifier Dragon. It's not like I personally have an issue with this card. I guess it's not very fun to watch when people just get gimmick puppet lock and then they just lose, and it's not like they get paired against like a Flandreese players where they just continue playing anyway, they don't care. But for the most part, like, Albion the Sanctifier Dragon is the leading cause. I mean, they banned Expulsion because it was the card that was searchable, plus did this same shenanigan. Getting rid of Sanctifier is the second step. It's not targetable, so it's already harder to stop for like a base play. You need something like Droplet, or you need to interact with the stuff that it's trying to bring back. So that was probably one of the key interactions. Oh, why don't they just ban the Gimmick Puppet? Because people will pivot. Like, they will pivot. I think we can give branded players enough credit that they know how to pivot into Ra's Disciple, Orthus, or any of the other monsters that on summon you leave it on their side of the field, or even in Edo, where the opponent can't summon, they can't play. We're doing lockouts. Lockouts usually end games within like 2 turns. And people are saying, oh, people should have adapted to playing this by now. But there's also the overall like problem of, oh, they should have adapted to more hand traps. They should have adapted to more of these certain plays. Sure, Droplet, fine. But adapting to more hand traps, you're just kind of fanning people straight back into like a super hand trap heavy format. So rather than doing that, shifting out Albion is probably the better cycle. Oh, people just play Give or Take. Yeah, Give or Take is not even searchable. Like, if you have something in the extra deck that does something versus something that does something in the main deck that you have to kind of dig out, there's a completely different level of effort required to get these cards out. And that's what I'm going to be standing with here. So Albion the Sanctifier Dragon, just no more Gimme Puppet lockouts. Card number 2 is going to be Hot Red Dragon King Calamity. This is another lockout card, and with White Forest coming out, it's just going to be even easier to do so, especially paired with an Omni Negate. And sometimes you might get some odd people that are going to be playing the Secret Village of the Spellcasters to the point where there is no out. There is no option for you, because it's going to happen in the draw phase. You're going to get locked out, and you can't even play your Droplet because you don't control a Spellcaster. So it again kind of pushes people more towards playing even more hand traps, and it's not going to be that great. Hot Red Dragon King Calamity is kind of, again, pivoting people towards locking people out. So it's probably another candidate that probably has to go. Card number 3 to be hit is going to be World Sea Dragon Zelantis. It could have been Appaloosa, it could have been something else, but I think hitting World Sea Dragon Zelantis is similar to hitting a Linkuriboh. Like, not everyone agrees, oh, why would you hit a Linkuriboh? It's barely doing anything. What are you talking about? Appaloosa and Linkuriboh was like one of the plays that caused everyone to just not being able to play. This is in a similar realm, and with Fiendsmith being part of, probably going to be part of the metagame for sure, you're likely going to see this combination of cards very, very, very easily. And it's going to be one of the things that, oh, I want to break the Appaloosa, but I need to go into battle phase. I have the stronger monster, I can't break it anyway. And that's where the problem lies. Even if the Appaloosa is down to 800 attack points, you can't break it. You have to eat the last negate, and they just get to pivot out of it. It's similar to that whole Linkuriboh shenanigans, so that's why it's a similar hit. But on top of that, Linkuriboh obviously wasn't just hit for that. Linkuriboh was hit for the recursion, the options it opened. Zelantis opened up the OTKs, the board breaking, so in a similar realm it's there. But obviously Link 4 probably could have been Appaloosa, could have even been IP Masquerena, to be honest. And here we are, because if you hit away IP, guess what, the only way to like make an SP during the opponent's turn is through the Unchained Soul Rage. It's a lot harder, and definitely devalues SP. If they want to hit SP in that regard, they would probably also hit IP, but IP is not here at the moment. So these are the three I'm choosing. You guys can let me know your thoughts on it for sure, but let's take a look at the cards going to 1. So aside from addressing some of those lockout cards, I haven't really touched Snake Eye or, you know, Flamberge. And speaking of which, card number 1 going to be limited is going to be Flamberge Dragon. Does it do a lot? Probably not. It just keeps them in the game still, because if you ban Flamberge outright, there is no Snake Eye deck left. At least I don't think so. You guys can argue against it, but taking away a block dragon definitely made a huge impact on Adamancipator, so taking away Flamberge will have the same impact. However, we're putting it to 1 because at the moment it is being used in multiple ways, where you're just using it as a level 8 body and you can actually play with both of them, and taking away 1 will immediately limit down that option. If you open it in your hand, that means summoning it is gonna get worse, hand management gets worse, and if you choose to overlay with it, even worse for you. You know, even worse for you. You don't get the summon back. It's just everything's a little bit behind if you do that. So it kind of takes away a little bit the Hope Harbinger-ness of the deck as well. Another card going to 1. Wanted to 1. Essentially, it's a better Chaos Space. It's just that it also cycles itself. It provides you with the draw, gets you additional cards as well that performs more summons. It has to go to 1, and I don't think there's an argument against that. Card number 3 going down to 1 is going to be none other than Snake Eyes Poplar. OTS Ashes came out, the Ulti Ashes. They're not going to get touched for the time being. Just look at Fenrir. Fenrir is still in our format. OCG has it limited down to 1. But we have the Ulti print, and that causes a little bit of a chase as people go to the tournaments. There's that. So we're not touching it. And we're not going to compare this with Exodia. Oh, Exodia is limited. Well, Exodia has been limited since the beginning of the game, so it's not a fair comparison. But let's come back to the argument here of Snake Eyes Poplar. It's a pretty significant hit. If you've ever opened 2 Poplars in your hand, you know how bad that feels. You know that your bonfires don't really do all that much except for search for Ash or maybe even Oak, but it cannot kick off your combo. It does not function as a follow-up immediately. It does not have an immediate payout. And so just from that alone, it's pretty significant. Ash, if you already have Poplar in your hand, what are you comboing with that Ash now? Like, how are you starting off your combo? You're not. You're just not. You just have to play as it is. It's just a second body. You get yourself another Ash search, and that's as far as you're really gonna push it. So that's gonna start creating a bit of like a limitation to what Poplar offers to the deck, and it's a great way to actually slow the deck down and really hit on combo lines and consistency. So cards going down to 2, we have Diabellstar the Black Witch and Ostinato. Yeah, I don't have Branded Fusion in here, but just hear me out. Black Witch is mainly consistency hit overall, so that if people want to play the package, they go from, you know, the 2 witches, the 1 wanted if we were gonna go with this list, and 1 copy of original Sinful Spell Snake Eye, and then they'll have their 4-card package for consistency, which is definitely like a significant shot for sure. You know, compared to like the 3 witches in the 2, so it's like a 5-card to 4-card. People have to find somebody to shove an extra card, and it does damage the numbers a little bit. But tins are coming out obviously, so they might not touch it at all, which is fine. I don't think it's that big of a deal. Then there's Ostinato. This is the one some of you guys probably like typing, oh, why are you hitting my Melodious cards? It's not your Melodious cards that's the reason. I mean, partially, but it's mainly because it's not once per turn. That's all. It's just like a very difficult card to interact with. They can have multiple copies, they can have a Call by the Grave, they could have Crossout Designator, whatever the case may be. When this card resolves, it usually, as a sub-engine for another deck, it's 4 negates plus 1 draw. You get the 3 Mat Apo and the Odd Ice Vortex. That's what they start with, and then they do the regular play, and then you have to deal with the regular disruption on top of that. I went for like Melodious Chimera, and I built like 11 disruptions, and they're all in different positions where they can't even do anything. And there's even a Diabellzy on the field where you can't even use Droplet or Imperm or Super Poly. Like, we just passed that board to them. They're like, wow, this really sucks. This card, as a sub-engine, is very, very strong, and it's very difficult to interact with, and it's just mainly because it's not once per turn. Okay, those are the cards going down. Let's go for the cards going up now. First card, this is a bit of a throw freebie. It's gonna be for Formage Plush Fire. I mean, it's gonna be poster rad. It's likely gonna get reprinted very, very soon, and then we're just gonna have Plush Fire back in the format anyway. Then there is Glow Up Bulb. I don't think Glow Up Bulb is that big of an issue anymore. We have a card very similar to Glow Up Bulb already, and that's Revolution Synchron. They kind of did the same thing because we don't have Chaos Ruler. The one Chaos Ruler and Glow Up Bulb aren't together, I don't think it's that much of a problem. And not to mention the OCG has 3 Glow Bulbs, so Glow Bulb to 1 doesn't seem that bad. And I think it gives people like a solid option to play a level 1 plant tuner. I think it might diversify some of these decks. It might make some decks go crazy, but I think it's actually worth a try in terms of what Glow Bulb does, or maybe it'll do nothing at all. Another card that I think it's possible is Super Heavy Samurai Scarecrow. We don't have Baron, we don't have Savage. I get that they can still go Dissipator, but we're not looking at those Omni Negate boards where they're gonna completely crush us, right? Am I wrong? Am I crazy? Well, you let me know if Super Heavy Samurai Scarecrow can actually come back, because like I just see that without Baron, it's just not that bad. I get that they can still establish some like Regulus play, some pretty nasty plays, but that's what they do. But it's not like they layer multiple Omni Negates all together, right? Correct me if I'm wrong. And then here's the weird one. I'm actually putting Masterpiece, the Draco Slaying King, in here. Such a weird one. Requiring, of course, tribute summons, and this is a card that has always been like a terror to the format. It checks the format 100%. But the reason why I can put it here is just hey, like destroying one card, I get it, it's Dryden. Dryden's banned too. But this is like a normal summon committed Dryden. If you're going to use spell and monster negation, I get that destroying one card is great, but most decks have such crazy follow-up, and generating a monster with over 3,000 attack is not that difficult. I get that destroying any card on the field is still pretty nasty. Like, don't get me wrong, it's still very strong, and being immune to monster effects, spell effects, or monster effect trap effects, being able to adapt to that is also like another really crazy point. But most of these decks, like even Labyrinth, like you can just lady attack over it, right? Right? You can just lady attack over it. You can attempt to like over summon your opponent and just make Chaos Angel and just power it over. I don't feel like it's that crazy of a disruption compared to like just omni negating the crap out of the opponent. But I mean, this is like the kind of like the wish list item, kind of throwing that in there. Cards going up to 2. That's going to be Thunder Dragon Colossus, Reasoning, and Call by the Grave. Although Colossus could just sit around not doing anything because Double Colossus was a very nasty play, and maybe some people are suffering PTSD from Thunder Dragon Colossus or Double Colossus, but it's not really doing anything. Right now, it's just an afterthought of Corridor, and it really hasn't really seen play since, and not a lot of people. Last time I saw Thunder Dragon was probably at the beginning of the ban list, and that was it. When people tried it out and they realized, hey, one Colossus doesn't do very much. It's not that strong. I mean, you can shove it into the Ostinato package, and you can definitely get something going there. But aside from that, I don't think it does very much at all. Next, then there's Reasoning. It's just throwing a bone to the Infernoid players so that they can mill a bunch of guys into the graveyard. Why not? It's not grass. I mean, should grass come back? I don't know. You guys tell me. And then there's the one that you guys have been already typing about, Call by the Grave. Call by the Grave to 2. Okay, let's break it down so that we don't get at each other's throats. 1, yes, hand traps need to be good to stop the current combos. But the reason why we're playing so many hand traps is because we have these combos. So the issue would be with the combo decks themselves. You have two different types of one card combo. You have one card combos that if you commit into the one card combo, you really can't do anything else. And then you have the ones where you have 4 different follow-ups. So you're looking at Chimera combo with like Mirror Sword Knight, and you're looking at the difference between that versus the Snake Eye Ash combo, where they'll just keep on throwing pieces after pieces after. If every piece of the combo can summon themselves out, then you've got yourself a one card combo deck with 50 bajillion follow-ups. And that's where the issue is. And Konami's got to stop releasing these kinds of decks. I get that it's very appealing for people to see, like, oh, check out this play. I can keep on extending. I can play through. I built this unbreakable board. Great for marketing. But then it gets to the point where you design yourself into a corner. You don't want to end up like Vanguard, where you have to reset your game because things got really power crept out of hand. So where's the balance? And luckily for Yu-Gi-Oh, you can ban cards, you can fix things. There's options. So where's the balance? Well, first of all, the different kinds of like 1CCs, you just gotta tone it down. Yes, by increasing Call by the Grave in general, you reduce the effectiveness of hand traps, so you want to cater people to include a little bit of board breaking. So you're going to have to release archetypes with board breaking potential in them so that people are willing to play less hand traps, and they're like, oh, I just need to break 2 parts here, and then I can start playing my regular deck and try to use my regular deck to kind of break apart the board. Fiendsmith is like a step in that direction, although Fiendsmith is just a shove into every single deck because it's really, really good. But I think there's a point where you can technically balance both parts. So the moment we start to see the reduction of hand traps going from like 15 back to 12 back to 9, that's when we're probably gonna be in a healthy state. And Call by the Grave can push it back and make people choose better cards to play just in case the hand traps don't work out. But that also requires it so that the combo decks need to be toned down as well. And hopefully this does tone down the combo decks a bit. It's just something that's going to take a very long time, or multiple lists to kind of address, and multiple set releases to address to kind of fix. Does that make sense? I don't know. This is kind of a long-term problem rather than something that can issue an immediate solution. And finally, the card going to 3, just throwing Magic Spectre, Unicorn Kira. No one's really playing the card anyway, so you can go to 3. I don't think it's going to be that surprising if it does go to 3. That's all I got for this video, guys. If you guys enjoyed this video, smash that thumbs up button. If you guys want to see more stuff from MST.TV, including some of the upcoming releases and rarities of stuff from Infinite Forbidden, you gotta subscribe and don't miss out on that. And on top of that, yeah, we're gonna be moving on to the info format. And if you guys are typing furiously down there, leave a comment. I'd love to hear your thoughts, and maybe someone else in the comment section will also reply to you, so your comments won't go in vain. And yeah, info format coming up. It's gonna be a tough one. I'm gonna be at NAWCQ. I will see you guys there. If you see me, come say hi. And I'm gonna be labbing it out here and making more info-based content for the next while. So yeah, subscribe. I'll see you all in the next one.